So I'm Dan Kellison, Director of Customer Innovation. This is David Friend, CEO and co-founder of Wasabi. Thank you for your time. We're going to try and make this as brief as possible while still giving you a hint of what 2019 looks like to us. So first topic, cloud standards. Do you think that cloud standards are going to be de facto, or are vendors going to come together for some new standard?
Well, in the storage area, for sure, the Amazon S3 API has become almost a de facto standard at this point.
Sure.
We have over 200 partners that have already adopted the S3 API as the way to talk to the cloud. And even though there are other standards from Microsoft and Google, or so-called their standards,
right.
I think the one that's going to win out clearly is the S3 API. And we made Wasabi to be 100% compatible with the S3 API and also their access identity management API.
So you think that that's enough of a center of gravity for a big enough market that becomes a stable place for us all to live?
Yep, and all the cloud storage vendors will all talk this S3 API, and if you don't like us, you can unplug us and plug in some other one.
Right.
And that's the way the world should work.
Right, yeah. So it seems like it's a win for us, it's a win for our partners, clearly, and it should be a win for customers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so MultiCloud. This is slightly more advanced for people who haven't yet gone to the cloud, maybe too early. But if you've already done anything in the cloud and you're thinking about sort of shifting your eggs around a little bit for all sorts of reasons, do you think that's going to increase in 2019?
Yeah, for sure. Right now, Amazon and Microsoft would like to lock you into their walled gardens and keep you from going to a multi-cloud strategy.
Sure.
But just as the hardware world became very diverse with lots and lots of vendors, the cloud world will as well. So, we do a better job of storage than Amazon or Microsoft does. Companies like Packet.net that focus only on compute are doing a better job in that area. You get vendors like Fastly and Limelight and others that are doing a much better job on content delivery. And all of us will work together to provide that diverse environment that's the alternative to the walled gardens from Amazon and Microsoft.
Right. So then you get your choice of best of breed.
That's right.
As they say, instead of sort of whatever they happen to provide in their stack.
Yeah, they've got everything, but you can't be best at everything. So,
right.
You get everything, but none of it is particularly great.
So a mediocre monolith.
That's right.
There you go. Okay. So how about storage tiers? Normally you hear that more is better, but it might be a little counterintuitive to people that less would be more in this case.
Well, the big event at reInvent, at least from a storage standpoint, was Amazon introduced yet 2 more storage tiers. And they already had so many that, people were having to hire consultants,
right,
full-time employees to help them figure out what data should go in what tier.
Yes.
And now they've got yet 2 more.
Right.
And I just think it's an excuse to try to maximize profits on the high price spread.
Right.
And, Wasabi, we just feel that storage should be like electricity, kind of one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
And the bill should be really simple with one line item on it.
Sure.
How much storage do we have?
Yep.
And not, pages and pages of little charges for this, that, and the other thing, which,
right.
Is kind of what you get with Amazon. So I think that complexity is totally artificial. Nobody needs it.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly don't need it if you're Wasabi, where you're faster than their fastest and cheaper than their cheapest. Why do you need all that crazy stuff?
Sure, right. Seems like you could spend your time doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dave has a blog, Just What the World Needs, 2 more tiers of storage, if you want to read more about that. And no doubt we're going to be talking about it a lot more in the years to come. All right, next up, number 4 is the end of egress fees. So traditionally in the original wave of public cloud, you get charged to take your data back out. Which seems a little bit odd.
Customers hate egress fees. If I could name one thing that I've heard over and over again from customers hate egress fees.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2 reasons. One is it makes it impossible for them to predict what their bill is going to be.
Sure.
So most people know how much storage they have, but they have no idea how often they egress it.
Yep.
And the second thing is it just doesn't feel right to have to pay to get your own data back. You say, okay, I'm tired of Amazon. I want to take my data and go back and do something else with it.
Sure.
And say, if you want to leave, you have to pay.
Right.
And that just feels crummy.
Right, yeah. So you could walk into your house for free, but if you try to leave, you got to pay?
Yeah. So we got rid of the egress fees because we realized that, customers don't like that. And so
right.
we just eat them.
Right.
Because I'm sure it's a very high profit margin thing for Amazon anyway, because the cost of bandwidth is really, really low these days.
Right. And it's not just us either. We have partners as part of the Bandwidth Alliance that are joining together to make sure that mutual customers don't get charged egress fees between us.
All of these third-party specialists like Wasabi and storage, packet and compute and so forth are all saying, when you move data between our different companies' products, no charge.
Right. Yeah. So you get the best of sort of the both worlds. You get specific specialists in certain areas with no egress fees, and then you can mix and match, and there's really no penalty to you.
That's right.
Okay. Next up, number 5, ever lower prices and faster speeds for storage.
Yep. So, inevitably, the prices on storage keep dropping.
Sure.
Seagate and Western Digital are the two big disk drive manufacturers. Every year, we get bigger drives for the same price.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to happen. And then the speed is a function of the software, and we get better and better at it. How you organize the data on disk so that you can read it faster and faster.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it seems like a never-ending trend that we can all take advantage of. So that's another win for everybody as well. All right, number 6, the special bonus. Object storage will dominate from a size perspective. So, what does that mean?
Back in the old days, block storage, structured databases like Oracle and Sybase, SQL kinds of databases used to be what people thought of as data.
Right.
Today, the amount of data that we're creating here doing this little video is probably bigger than, a typical structured database would see in a week or a month.
Yeah.
And 70% of the world's data is going to be video. It's going to be this kind of thing. It'll be TV and movies. It'll be satellite imagery. It'll be the 200 million surveillance cameras that are out on the street, and every cop body cam and everything else. That's where the volume is going to be. So that's why structured databases like Oracle and SQL databases will become kind of a niche in the storage world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different world once you start thinking of objects.
That's right.
All right, so that's our 5+1 predictions for 2019, and there's a lot that we're working on that we're going to roll out next year with partners and our own functionality. So stay tuned on that. We'll let you know as those come on board. But for now, this is Wasabi Dan, Wasabi Dave. That's our view on 2019 predictions, and look forward to talking to you more in the new year.